Well, France 24's international affairs commentator, Douglas Herbert, joins me on set for more on this. Doug, these scandals do bear similarities, but legal observers say the circumstances are actually very different. What's so different about the Trump case and the Biden case?
Yeah, a tale of two very different, if you want to use scandals. I'm not trying to downplay the gravity of mishandling government documents. It is obviously a grave offense. Obviously, you need to investigate it. That's why, as you just said, there are two special counsels. But let us please, and I say this with the Ukraine war all the time too, right? Russia's war against Ukraine. Let's avoid false equivalencies. Just because there are some similarities between these cases, i.e., both men are being investigated for alleged mishandling of sensitive government documents, that's where the similarities end. I threw together a little chart just to show how different, how vastly different they are. Look, Trump on one side. In Trump's case, you'll remember FBI raiding his Mar-a-Lago, Florida country club residence last August. Thousands of documents were found. Documents not in one or two cartons, Jeannie, but in over 50 cartons, okay? In Biden's case, on the other side, fewer than 12. It's gone up since the Friday search. It's now anywhere from about 25 to 50 documents. We're talking a few dozen documents versus thousands. So there's a volume, significantly different factor here. Trump has refused and resisted to cooperate, and his lawyers and his team every step of the way. The reason the National Archives had to bring in the FBI to raid Mar-a-Lago is because they wouldn't do it voluntarily, let them come in and do a search. So it has been, he refused to comply with the subpoena. He had to have his home raided. His lawyers are even being there questions over whether his lawyers misled, i.e. lied to federal agents about the very existence of documents in Trump's home. In the case of Biden, flipped that 180 degrees. They literally got on the phone with the National Archives and the Justice Department as soon as documents were discovered and said, please come search. We need to be above board with this. So they've been voluntarily opening up their homes, Biden's home, to investigators, and that fully cooperation. Biden's trying to say this was inadvertent. This was a little mistake. A few documents went astray here, and we want to be as above board with you. Please come, go into our bathrooms, our bedrooms, our living rooms, search everywhere you need. Open locked rooms. Do what you have to do. We want this to be investigated expeditiously.
So even if it is true and it was inadvertent, could Biden be in any kind of legal trouble?
There are legal and political risks here. Legal because, yes, we don't know. It seems like, yes, every day, right, new documents emerge, even if it's one or two straying here. You know that this is going to be political mincemeat for the Republicans. They're going to go on the attack with this. So, yes, he runs legal risks if more documents emerge and more questions emerge. And what are they doing there? Why in so many places? But this is, as of now, the risk seems more political for him. We have a newly empowered Republican majority in the House whose agenda seems to be, Jeannie, an anti-Biden vendetta. Investigate and go after the Biden administration. Don't worry about passing laws, which is what Congress is supposed to do. Go after the Biden administration with a bitter vengeance wherever they can. So this is grist to the mill of a lot of those, especially the MAGA factor in that Republican Party, which has already made it clear they want to investigate the son, Hunter Biden. They want to impeach Biden, some of them. This is now extra. You can be sure this is going to be the subject of ongoing, grueling investigations. There's going to be constant comparisons and accusations that the Democrats and Biden were hypocritical for going on the attack with Trump with documents, and all of a sudden treating Biden with such, light gloves here. But the fact of the matter is, as I just said, very different cases, but politically, you're absolutely right. This is going to be a massive political headache for Biden going ahead, especially if he does announce he's going to run for a re-election in 2024.
Doug, just very briefly, give us some context here. Both Trump and Biden have been accused of violating something called the Presidential Records Act. What's that?
It's exactly what it says it is. It was created in 1978, a few decades ago, went into effect under President Reagan in 1981, and it basically says all records created or received by a president while in office are the property of the United States government, not of that president. I can't take home all my secret memos and all those classified documents when the day's over, when my administration ends. I have to then hand those over to even vice presidents and vice presidents. Those documents, whether they're electronic, whether they're textual, whether they're audiovisual, and there are millions of them, right, must be handed over to the National Archives in Washington, D.C. That is the federal agency that is charged with taking custody and then managing them, making sure they're in a safe federal depository. After 5 years, under the Freedom of Information Act, the public also has access to that information. That is what is right now being investigated as alleged mishandling of documents, a violation of that act.
Doug, thank you for that. France 24's Doug Herbert.